Hi guys, I hope you can hear me. Can you please put in the chat section if you can hear me clearly and if you can see me as well? Welcome to Fireside Connect. I can see Omotalani has joined the call. Okay, we're going to be talking about tech today, so I hope you're prepared. Uh, One of the major reasons why we put this Fireside Connect together is to ensure that um, a lot of people trying to launch their tech careers, we go over the progress and try to solve and address any concerns they may have as part of their journey. So, it's a casual conversation that it's going to be. All right. So prepare to share your progress, share challenges you may be facing in the implementation of some of the project that you may already be going through. So we do have people joining. So I'm going to be using the chat section a lot. Okay. All right. Great. All right. I can see people saying it's loud and clear. All right. That's brilliant. Good. All right. So, in case you don't know about Diary.io, we actually started 3 years ago. It's going to about 4 years now. And we are on a mission to become the number one tech career accelerator. So, at heart, we started off with DevOps, and that's because that's the area in which I launched my tech career. Well, actually, I got into DevOps in between. I actually launched my tech career working as a SQL Server DBA. So I did a lot of things in the SQL space before getting into cloud and all that. Okay. But it's been great so far. I mean, we're trusted by over 3,500 learners, and we've helped over 1,000 people launch their tech careers across the world. So we have learners using our platform from the UK, US, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, and we have some from India as well. So it's been great, really, seeing a lot of people launch their career. Even Canada, I forgot to mention that. Seeing a lot of people launch their career from zero, literally from having no knowledge at all. You know, so I'm glad that we have those sort of success stories. Uh, but we can do more, and because we are positioned as an AI powered platform, because some of the things we used to do before in the past, that was quite manual, like manually reviewing projects and all that. We now have AI integrations that basically analyzes projects and give instant feedback. And we have a lot of development work in the pipeline as well to improve a lot of things that we're doing. So that's amazing. But the purpose of this Fireside Connect is, like it sounds, fireside. It's just like sitting in in a corner place in your house, and we're having conversations in the evening. So, I mean, the admin can bring a few people on the call as we go along, depending on how the conversation goes. But what we want to do is to make sure that every 2 weeks we connect together like this and we hear about projects that you guys are working on. Okay, it's very important because even in the real world, when you start working on projects, working with organizations, there's something called stand up, daily stand up. Every day we meet up to discuss our progress, especially if we're working in an agile environment, and that should be applied to every area of our lives, even during the learning phase. So, even though we may not be able to do daily stand ups, what we can do bi weekly stand up, if you like. So, that's what this is about, so that you guys can share your progress every 2 weeks. I mean, if you join this week and you share your progress this week and say, oh, in the last 2 weeks, I was learning Terraform and I've been able to do X, Y, and Z, you obviously don't want to say the same thing when you come next 2 weeks. You want to be able to say something that you have made progress. And the good thing is, we are inviting a lot of employers and recruiters to these Fireside Connect so that they can come and have a look at some of the amazing talents, that are available. And you never know, someone might just pick on you, check you out, look through your profile online and see, what's obtainable from you. So a lot of people have their GitHub profiles, their LinkedIn profile, they're active, they're sharing their projects, and it's very important that you are that visible. And we want to make that visibility extended through platforms like this. We'll connect with you every 2 weeks, share your progress, and also discuss some of the challenges that you may have. So it might be a case some of you guys have already landed your job and you're working in the real world and you're having a few challenges here and there trying to do things, or you're just trying to understand a few things. you know, we'll make the forum a place where we can discuss these things. Now, I'm not saying I have answers to everything, but we can have people come on this show as well that may be able to provide their experience, because you never know, someone else may have experienced the same thing that you're struggling with, and this is where we get to really talk about this thing. So I'm very excited that we launched this, and it's going to be the start of many series to come, and then we'll get to see how far we can go with this. So thank you so much for joining. It's amazing what you guys have been doing. So what I would like to see, and by the way, we launched our data analysis and cybersecurity pathway. So even though we started with DevOps and cloud, we have also launched other pathways, and we have other pathways that we're working on: machine learning, data science, AI. And those are really big ones, and we're taking our time to develop the projects to make sure that all of that can be made available. All right. So what I'd like to start reading is what you've been working on in the last 2 weeks. Okay. So we have a lot of people on Diary.io platform learning and doing things. But if you're not part of the Diary.io community, that's fine as well. But it would be nice to see what progress you're making, because this is very key to your progress. Okay. Um, I see a Falabi saying he has a bit of concern getting in touch with us. I apologize for that, because indeed we have a huge volume of inflow in terms of people try to get to us. But what I would recommend is, if you can send a DM on Instagram or Facebook, we have automated systems based on our AI that has been integrated, that can actually respond to you instantly and then feed you into our CRM, and then we'll get back to you. So just make sure you put down your phone number and your email, and most certainly we're going to get back to you. All right. Okay. So I'd like to start seeing what you guys are working on. Okay, so in the last 2 weeks, tell me, what have you been working on? And if you want to come on board to actually talk about it, that's fine. You can make put a comment in there, and the admins will find a way to get you in. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start looking through the comments to see updates on what you've been working on. It's very important you share Um, so some people, when they work on projects on Direct.io, they may say things like, "Oh, I'm working on project 10, I'm working on projects X, Y, or whatever." Some of them have names. Okay, so you could say something like, I can say Samson just mentioned he's working on shell scripting, and specifically he's working on functions. I think that's very good because we had to put shell scripting in as part of the projects on purpose, because that is one of the core skills that you must have as a cloud engineer, as a DevOps engineer or SRE or whatever it is that you're working on. And it's the mistake that some people make as well, because someone wants to get into the cloud space and the first thing they think about is writing the AWS solutions architect certification, which is great, by the way. However, what a lot of people miss out is the fact that there are excuse me, specific technologies that you must also learn alongside with that. There's no way you can work in the cloud without understanding how to automate things. So you're deploying servers in the cloud, and you're not going to go into those servers to manually do things. You need to find a way to automate things. And shell scripting is one of the major tools that you must get a hang of. you know Python is another one, if you can tick the box. So you can actually get away with not knowing Python, but you cannot get away with not knowing shell scripting. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you put your CV out there and you don't have Python on the CV, you can still get an employer that will be interested in your profile, because they may not use a lot of Python. But I have never seen any organization in this space that does not automate using shell script. So it is a very, very key element in your toolbox. So kudos to you, Samson. And if you can share a bit more about things that you've learned as well. So it's not just about I'm working on shell scripting. So what are the specific things that has been an aha moment for you? You know, what's be the aha moment? Like, oh my gosh, like it happened to me when I was learning Terraform. Before Terraform, I used to do what we call click ops, right? So you go into, and by the way, and that's because I come from a SQL background. So I used to do a lot of SQL Server installation and working with databases, right? And then AWS came with RDS, and there was need to go, excuse me, and start creating database as a service solutions in the cloud. And what I used to do then was just go in and click and just get things done. The day I realized a technology called Terraform and work with it, it was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Like, that moment, that's the kind of thing that I love you guys to also share, right? So yes, you're working on shell scripting functions, but let us know that aha moment for you, or let us know that thing that gave you nightmares. I cannot tell you enough. There are things that will give you, sleepless nights, honestly, because back in the days then, I used to work on Oracle as well. And some of you who may have worked with Oracle will know this. It's not a walk in the park to install Oracle. Okay, I'm talking about just having Oracle installation going either on Windows or Linux, right? Not to talk of now configuring, you know, um, systems that use rack or certain what's it called, disk configuration. You want to configure disk like RAID systems to work with databases, or you want to configure things that has to do with disaster recovery or even backup solutions. A lot of things, nuances around that. it, oh my gosh, it can be nightmare. Like you can spend weeks trying to do things, and you're probably watching a video on YouTube that is successful, but in your case, it's not working. And then you have to start banging your head and digging and trying to figure out what is going on. Those things happen. But guess what? That is where your experience is, because the day you fix that problem, you will never forget it. You will never, ever forget it. So, and that's what your organizations are paying a lot of money to hire engineers for, that have experience. Things like that you don't get from certifications. I'm a big fan of promoting hands-on real-world experience over certifications, and that's because it's just the reality. Certifications are good on paper, no doubt about it. It can get you in front of a recruiter, an employer, to say, hey, what's up with you? But when it comes to getting the job done, you know, the many sleepless nights that you spend on your own, they don't want you to come spend that in the organization, right? So you bring that experience. You spend 2, 3, 4 weeks trying to figure something out. You come to an organization, and in a few hours you fix it. You know exactly what to do because you've done it before, you know. And that's the most important thing. All right. So let me read someone else. So Aki Falari has said, so my end, I've been trying to upskill my automation skills on Postman. Been a bit of a struggle, but I keep pushing. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Okay, are you into QA testing? But yeah, I can see QA engineer. By the way, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, it's it's common. It doesn't matter whether you're QA, whether it's cloud or software development, whatever. It's the same problem everywhere. But what I generally say is start in bits. Okay, it can be very overwhelming when you have a lot of things. You have a lot of things to learn, right? And you know, you might just see a YouTube video talking about X and see another one talking about Y, and you're wondering, oh, which one should I pick first? Oh, let me learn this one, let me learn that one. Don't do that. Don't. Take it step at a time and focus on things. If you feel like, because even in Postman, there are many areas in Postman that you can learn things. You can take it one step at a time. And when it comes to automation, do not try to do automation without knowing the manual behind it. Okay, because what is automation? Automation is trying to um, do what is not automation in a fast way. So let's say you manually do something and it takes you about maybe a few hours to get it done. You can write an automation script that will allow you to then do it in minutes, of running that script, right? But the thing is, before you write that script that will do the automation for you, you need to understand how to manually achieve that thing, because that information will help you put in the logic into what you're trying to do, right? So, very key, take it slow, one step at a time, and just make sure whatever you're trying to automate, you get to understand the manual side first of all, and then you can automate. But doing it in bits is the most important thing. It's just like when you see a shell script. If you've seen a very long shell script, and for those, someone like Samson, for example, working on shell scripting on Direct.io, and the final result of the same thing you're trying to do, you see that it's actually a quite lengthy code. But when you started, you didn't start like that. It was just a few lines of code at first, and then you started iterating. You go back, you put a few things in there, and then 5 lines of code has now become 8, and then 10, 11, 15, 20. And before you know it, it becomes a very long list or huge file. And you get into an organization and you wonder, what? Who sat down to write this? Well, it doesn't, it's not like someone sat down to write, that whole thing. It starts small, So someone can start with a few lines today, and then tomorrow they hire another engineer, and then they start putting things, and then they start iterating and things start changing. New requirements come, they start putting more functions in, applying more logic into it, and before you know it becomes very large. So when you see that and you want to replicate that, it becomes a problem because you'll be overwhelmed. That's not what you want. Okay. So what you want to do is to make sure you start in bits and then you build up on top of it gradually. All right, so we've got Olalikon. So before, let me see how much we have so that I can manage that with time. So Olalikon is saying, I'm working on Kubernetes the hard way. Yes. I like the fact that to be honest, we've been thinking whether we should leave Kubernetes the hard way in our curriculum or remove it, because in reality, you're not, you hardly find anyone do Kubernetes the hard way in the real world. Let's face it, um, there are many Kubernetes as a service solutions out there. AWS, EKS, Google have their own, GKE, Amazon have their own, what's it called, AKS. There's so many options, and Digital Ocean, and everyone is coming out with Kubernetes and stuff. So with a click of a button, you can have Kubernetes running and you're good to go. So we've been battling this in house whether we should remove the hardware or we should leave it. I mean, it'd be nice to have in the comment section what you guys think. But it has helped a lot of people. It has helped me personally, and personally, I think we should still leave it, albeit make it optional. If you want to go through it, just go through it. But I think it's very good because it gets you to understand the architecture of Kubernetes from a more practical standpoint. Because you can see Kubernetes architecture from diagrams, and there's the control plane and the data. It has some components in the control plane, and the data plane as well have its own components. And looking at it visually, you may want to try to put it in your head, but the truth is, when you are asked tomorrow, it's possible for you to not remember some of the components and what they do. But when you do it the hard way, you install the API server, you install the scheduler, you install the controller manager, the kubelets. You actually do all those installations, manage all the certificates, make sure the communication is encrypted end to end, and you're able to run your kubectl and see that a cluster is working, and you put your deployment or whatever in there and everything works. You will appreciate the architecture a lot more. But I must warn you, it may take you a few weeks to complete the whole setup, especially if you're doing it for the first time. You may even spend that few weeks and do it, and things don't work right out of the bat, just because maybe you missed something, you sent the wrong certificate to a wrong server, and the communication part of things just doesn't work out. So um, it's good that you're doing the Kubernetes the hard way, and I think you should do it if you are not in a hurry. And that's another thing. Some people come into this space and just want to finish the project and just go out there and start working and start applying for jobs. And I don't recommend that. You want to be well grounded before you start going out there, honestly. And even as a brand, we don't want to be putting out people out there that will be struggling on the job. Okay. And it's very important for the employers and recruiters partnering with us, coming to find talent from us. And we're telling them, have this guy, he's amazing here and there, and he's on the job, he can't do it. So rather than rush into it, take your time to learn. Okay. The good thing is, number one, AI is not going to take your job. So so don't say, oh, before this AI take all our job away, let me quickly go and take my money. Don't. It's AI is not taking your job. Okay, guys, relax. AI is actually going to make life easy for you, especially if you know how to use it. If you've heard about LLMs, OpenAI has come up with one of the amazing technologies that we use it a lot in our company as well. We encourage it, and it's just because you can come up with the right prompts to get the right answers and get things done much faster, and even give you ideas and prompt you in the right direction. Okay. So don't think there is no time. You know, there are plenty of jobs waiting out there, wherever you may be. It doesn't matter. Even if you're in the bush of the bush, okay, as long as you have internet connection. Well, if you don't have internet in the bush, then find your way out to a place you have internet connection. But if you have access to internet, you can work with organizations from different parts of the world. You know, we've seen people get hired from Ghana, Nigeria, by US based companies, Europe based companies in Spain, Portugal, many parts of the world. And we get a lot of recruiters come to us asking for talent. So, you know, take your time and understand, right? And really, really get your head in a place where you're confident. Okay, your Linux, make sure you're very solid in your Linux. You know, your shell scripting, make sure all those things are amazing. All right, so Kubernetes the hard way. You know, thumbs up to you if you're able to get that out of the way and just keep pushing it. All right. So Blessing says AWS Solutions Architect. So Blessing, I don't know, is that certification or you're just trying to, or the Solutions Architect part of our platform? So whichever one it is, that's also good. Make sure you have your Linux and then you have your AWS skills, you know, on top of that. So Tochuku says, I've been working on shell scripting, almost difficult to learn all the commands. So that's another thing with commands. You don't have to try to memorize them. This is a repetitive thing. The more you work on them, the better you become. Okay. And look, and this happens to everyone. If you don't take your computer over a period of time, don't expect that the things that you learned before will come back to you just like that. You're going to need a bit of calibration to remember and to get things. So you want to make sure you are always learning. You know, in my early days, like I became obsessed. You know, I became obsessed. Literally, I'm sure some of you will reckon with this. Literally, I sleep and I code in my head, in my sleep. You know, like I try to write commands, you know, in my head. I try to remember. I'm trying to SSH into a server in my sleep. I was disturbed, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people face similar thing as well. And that's just a sign when you are obsessed about something and you really want to get things out of the way. So the disturbance I'm mentioning is a good disturbance, you know. So not that it was hurting me, but I was very conscious of it. You know, everywhere I go, I always want to have a conversation about the things I'm learning, and that's another thing. You know, if someone is around you and not doing this, and kudos to my wife, by the way, even though she wasn't learning with me, she was always ready to listen to me. I just want to talk about it. All right. I just want to talk about it. You know, I've learned something right now. I want to explain it. Right. I have some friends as well that today they're also DevOps engineers. And sometimes I just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I need to explain this to you, you know. So tell me what you understand. Right. And I try to explain it in the best way I can. And you see, the reason I was doing that is not only for me to understand it, but also to teach myself some soft skills that I need when I start going for interviews. Because I don't want to be asked a question and I'm not hitting the point. Okay, that's very important. You know, when you start going for interviews, you don't want to waste the time of the interviewer by just beating around the bush. If you don't know answer to something, make it clear. I'm sorry, I don't know this specifically. You know, can we pass on this question and move on to the next one? Obviously, you don't want to have a lot of that, but genuinely, if you can't attempt a question, there's no point, you know, trying to waste the time of the interviewer, and they will respect you for that. And by the way, no interviewer, well, no real experienced interviewer would expect you to know everything. You know, so again, the point I'm trying to make is, you know, just keep on learning and try to learn the things by repeatedly doing it and not try to memorize them. So that's the point I'm trying to hit so that we don't lose the thread of thought. You know, try to work on your shell scripting, your Linux command, your Terraform, whatever, you know, you're learning about Python. Just be consistent, right? The more consistency, the easier it is for you. You won't have to struggle. Honestly, and I'm a living witness of this. Honestly, I've never had to struggle when I'm speaking to interviewers and when I'm trying to explain a thought, and that's because constantly it's not just about learning things. I also want to talk about it. I want to explain it. I want to research on it, and that helps a lot. Okay. So Tochuku, I've been working on short scripting, almost difficult to learn how to come. Okay, so that's what we just addressed. So Ibukun, I see a lot of comments of Ibukun on our Slack channel. So I know he or she, I think it's she. I know she's working so hard because I see a lot of her comment, and people who are like that, honestly, their success can be, I mean, their future can be determined easily. Easily, I can easily tell if someone is going to quickly get this done and dusted and just launch their career. So kudos to you. All right. So she says, so far I'm on project 19. I signed up for the self-paced program in February 2022. It has been an amazing journey, I must say. All right. I haven't even read what she had to say, but because I've noticed that name on our Slack channel, and I think, she's doing a great job. She's working so hard. Yeah, there are many projects to do, so just keep going. And by the way, the project 19 you're talking about, that's based on our old project. We've migrated to a new platform now, so we don't number them like we used to before because we have way more projects now. Then we had about 30 projects. Now we have them in hundreds. So we split them into mini projects and capstone projects. So we don't number them because if we number them, it might become overwhelming to you guys thinking, oh, do I have to do 100 projects? So but what we've also done is we have updated the content to remove things that are not relevant because we want to make sure that you focus more on things that are relevant in the industry, right? So when we started, Ansible was huge. It was huge, like in the industry. It's not as huge as it used to be, just because containerization came in, and there are configuration management tools now in the containerization and orchestration world that is basically a no-brainer. So even though it's still relevant in some places, the knowledge is still relevant. Um, we're not heavily focusing on it as such in the curriculum, so that you can just have the skill to know about it and then quickly move on to other things. Okay, so Adebayo says, I'm currently learning DevOps, but I'm facing challenges installing Kubernetes. The Google link does not work, and even after installing micro K8, I still find it difficult to launch the Kube cluster. How can you assist with this? PS Docker runs perfectly on my Ubuntu. So Adebayo, is this in relation to the it'd be nice to know what cohorts you belong to so that I can find relevant solution to you. I mean, obviously, it's not something we can solve on this call, but it's nice to know, and then we can get the technical team to look into this with you and try to help you navigate that part. But please, if you do not hear from us, find me on Slack and send a direct message to me so that I can make sure that we get this sorted for you, because the next 2 weeks, I don't want to see these comments, all right? I mean, I don't want to see that you're still on this. I want to make sure that you progressed, because the whole point of this Fireside Connect is to make sure that you know what you've typed in the comment today. You're not going to repeat that next 2 weeks, right? It's here to make sure that you guys are making progress, right? So little drops make an ocean. Every little progress counts, and 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, you'll be amazed how much progress you've made. Okay, Samuel is just saying good evening. Okay, good evening, Samuel. Chukuka, I've been working on a web application with Python and Django REST framework. So I believe Chukuka is a developer. I'm not sure if you're already part of the Diary.io platform, but that's good. So if you're on the the web development career path, that's very good. And it's probably an opportunity for me to talk about the externship program that we just launched. So we have this program we've recently launched last week. It's a subscription-based model that we've introduced with that. But what we're trying to solve with that is to solve the gaps that our existing project-based learning has, which is the real world collaborative experience. So at the moment, you're going through our documentations to implement projects and you're practicing things, but we also want to make sure that you have experience working with scrum masters, with other developers, technical lead, and you can work on different end-to-end projects, picking up tickets, exactly how it's done in the real world. So when you go for interviews as well, you have a lot more things to talk about, and you can speak like someone really coming from that space. So it won't be all new to you; it'll be very familiar. So we have the cloud DevOps path. We have the data analysis, machine learning path as well for that. We also have the web development path for that. So if you're a web developer, you have some skills. And by the way, the externship program requires you to have a certain level of skills already. So if you have some skills, then it's a good one for you because you're just going to come in and start getting things done. Different projects, different use cases, delivering solution for companies, and that will build your skill. It will accelerate you. Okay, so well done, Chukwuka. Ademola, this is Ademola March cohort. I have started trying to have better understanding of AWS and how to have a better understanding. I have not started my project yet. So you haven't started your project, but you're getting to understand about AWS now. But in the next 2 weeks, please make sure you go ahead and start something. Please, very important. Start your project, get something going. If you need help, right? If you need help, you just need someone to speak to or whatnot. It's a huge community that we have. We have over 3,500 learners, and the numbers are counting, right? And people meet learning partners. So there are lots of people that have formed learning partners, and it helps a lot. Rubbing ideas together and getting someone to be your accountability peer. It's very important. So if you need help with that, you can also reach out, and we can help you pair with someone, and hopefully we can get you progressed. Okay, Ibrahim says, I've been working on moving an Azure infrastructure into Terraform, been able to pull the resource groups, or I guess he's trying to say he's been able to create the resource groups, but all in just one main.tf file. I need a way to separate these main.tf file into variables, etc. Like refactor the code. Okay. So I'm not sure if you've gone through the Terraform projects on Diary.io, but we do have use cases specific to what you've just explained. So the initial project focuses on putting everything in one main.tf file, and then after that, you get to learn how to refactor them into variables and TF vars, and find a way to ensure that you can deploy across multiple environments, dev, staging, production, whatnot. Okay, so if that's what you're looking to get, if you haven't gotten to the project, the part of the project that does that yet, you will get there. But if there are specific things that you probably need, you can put specific questions in the chat. If I'm able to get to it, then hopefully I might be able to help. But all in all, what you need to do, again, like I said before, everything has to do with starting small. Do not try to say, I want to change everything at once, right? You'll be amazed how fast you'll be able to work. Say, for example, you have your main.tf file, okay, and you want to start refactoring that into variables, okay? Let's say in your main.tf file, you're creating S3 bucket, you're creating IAM policies, you're creating EC2 instances. Just start with one. Take one resource, decide on what you want to convert into a variable there. So let's say in your EC2 resource creation, um, you are passing in there the name of the key file. So let's say you've created an SSH key pair already and you want to pass the name into it. And the name of that key is going to change per environment. So what you can do is focus on that first, okay? Create a new file, variables.tf, and then declare your variable there, right? Variable, if you're using Visual Studio Code and you have the Terraform plugin, it's going to help you write the code easily. Okay, so you can just declare your variable, put the name of the variable there, and then set the configuration, whether the data type, string, or whatever you think it will be. Of course, in this example, it's going to be string. And then if you needed to have a default value, you put a default value in there. And I guess that's a description as well. You can put description to say, okay, this is what this variable is about. So you declare that variable, leave it in that variables file. So the name you've given to that variable, all you have to do is now go into your main.tf file and just remove what you had before, and basically just put the name of the variable there. So var dot the name of the variable. So you have now referenced the variable you created in your main.tf file. Okay. Now that's going to work only because you've set a default value in your variable.tf file. Okay. But you have to be mindful of the fact that if you start running that across multiple environments, you'll be using that same default value. So if you now want to make that to change per environment, then you can create another file, which will then be your TF vars. And that's where you start setting the variables for each environment. So when it's time to run your Terraform, just run Terraform. You specify the TF vars file, which will contain the values for that variable. Job done. So you've done that little part at first, yeah? Forget about every other one. Make sure you run Terraform plan and apply to make sure that that works fine, okay? And then you can go back and go through the same cycle again. That's why we work in agile form. Everything you do is agile, everything. Always start small and then increment afterwards, okay? I cannot stress this is this is the best way to work, guys. Okay, so make sure you have that, and then you go in again, find another variable you want to update, and then you keep going like that. If you want to convert that into a module, it's the same process. You know, take a small, create your module folder, and then you start creating your modules, and that's it. Okay. So I was going to say something, but you get the gist. All right. So Ayomikpo says DevOps tooling website solution. So yeah, that's a very interesting one. One of the use cases we put in there is to deploy a PHP application or website that will help you understand how applications are deployed, connected to databases, you know, extending the variables, understand working with proxy servers, Nginx, web servers, things like that. So that's very good, I am Mipo. Make sure that next week, I'll probably remember this one. So your next update, make sure you're not still stuck on that project. You made some progress. Okay, Ferdinand says, I have just started executing LEM projects. I'm getting better by the day. Well done, well done. Okay, good evening all. Glad to be here. We're glad to have you as well, Franklin. Let me see if okay, I think I can still cope with all the other posts. Okay, Chinoso says, I'm an IT customer support engineer trying to transit to cloud engineer. Where should I begin? Well, the best place to begin will be to sign up on Dai.io. So sign up and we'll be glad to get you started, right? So you can DM in Facebook, Instagram, just send a DM, and then we'll be able to interact with you and get on a call with an enrollment advisor, and we'll be able to help you in the right direction, okay? But that's a good background, by the way. You have support engineering experience already, so you can begin to transition the skills, and that will look good on your CV when you start showing your progress from IT support into cloud. So that's a natural transition. All right, so Jeremiah says, how do I put my DevOps projects I'm currently learning as an experience in my CV? I'm not sure I understand that, but if you're saying how do you put your project, well, if you're on our platform, okay, there is a portal where you submit your project, and then you can hit the submit button so that we can analyze your work and give you some feedback. Yeah, but I'm not sure I understand that part that you said. I'm currently learning as an experience. Or well, let me understand. So your CV says you have experience, but you're currently learning. Okay. Well, as much as possible, I want to make sure that because one of the things that we do with um, employers that work with us is they know where you are, they know your situation, right? They know you don't have industry experience, yeah. So based on the projects that you have worked on Dida.io, because they trust the quality of those projects, they are able to take you on. So sometimes it's better to be transparent in what your where you are, so that the expectations are not far fetched. If someone hires you on that basis, then it's very important for you to you will enjoy working there, is what I'm trying to say, because the expectation will not be too high. But if you work with us, we can help you with things like that, help you channel your CV in a way that is still attractive for an employer to want to take a chance on you. Okay. All right. And by the way, there's a link that's just been shared. You can join our Facebook group. So we've just created this group so that we can carry on with this conversation. You can join the group and keep on having a healthy conversation there, where we can help you navigate some of the challenges. If you're having challenges or whatever, you can use that Facebook group. Okay. So Henry is a front-end software engineer, and for the past 2 weeks, he's been trying to solidify his Vue 3 skills. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, like I said before, we have this externship opportunity for people to build real-world experience and work on projects. So, as you're trying to solidify your Vue 3 skills, there are projects on that you can actually implement, working with other engineers, and it will help you accelerate your journey so fast. Okay, so Kirian Muji, apologies if I didn't pronounce that very well, but it's a very beautiful name. I've been finding it difficult to push codes to GitHub from Git Bash. I will create a repo, but constantly failing to initialize it. I had to abandon it and jump over to Jenkins to get familiar with it. At some point, I discovered that Jenkins need GitHub also, so I'm stuck. So it's a chicken and egg situation. You need to get your Git sorted out before Jenkins is able to work on it, because Jenkins is going to help you deploy and do that, but it needs to understand where your code is. So what I would recommend, if you're struggling with that, if you're on our Slack channel, you can reach out to me directly as well. I can get you help, and we can try to get you sorted out. But if you really need to progress quickly, what you could do is you can initialize it in GitHub, right? So go to GitHub in the console, initialize it there, create the repository, and then clone it. So click to clone, and then go on your terminal and then write git clone and then put a link, and that will clone the repository. Then you can put your changes in there, commit and push again, and that way Jenkins will be able to have access. Okay. All right. So Henry says, just this week, I've been moving to a new project by my company after finishing the previous one. But the new project is still built with the Nox.js framework. So for the past 2 days, I'm working on picking this framework because it's new to me. That's amazing, guys. Henry. So I think that's really good, because your company, they're helping you to build some experience right there. So you move to a new project that is getting you to work on something, and then you're going to learn on the job to really quickly pick up that skill, right? So that's really good. Apologies, just trying to quickly attend to one of our engineers. All right, cool. Okay. So again, if you want to join the externship program to build on top of that a lot more and help you accelerate that even further, please reach out and find out more about the externship, and we can help you get started on that. Samson says, I've been finding short scripting to be a bit of a roller coaster. If I dedicated a solid 3 days to it, everything runs smoothly and the script is executed perfectly. That's good. But if I step away for just 3 days, it feels like I've forgotten a lot. What I learned is like hitting the reset button each time I take a break. At what point does this stuff stick? Do you have any tips for better retention? So I think I mentioned a part of that earlier on. The secret sauce, honestly, is to be consistent, right? No matter how little, um, pick something every day. That's what I would say. Don't leave it for 3 days, especially when you're just starting. You don't want to leave it for 3 days. 3 days is too much. I can understand if circumstances may um, deprive you from being able to do that, but if you can, right, even if it's to watch video, I'll tell you what. When I was learning Python, yeah, um, I was working in an organization at the time, okay, and it was very tasking. I would where I was living was quite a distance, so I would wake up, catch the train, go to work. I was still learning a lot of things at the time, so I don't even close from work at 5 o'clock. It's a company that has like, if you know Holborn in the UK, I used to work for Sainsbury's on Holborn. There's a huge, very tall building there, and I think I can't remember the floor, but I would leave my floor, go to a different floor where they don't know me, and I'll be there after 5 o'clock. And I'll be there learning and trying to prepare for certifications. And by the way, then I was also big on certifications, but I can tell you for free, all the certifications that I've used, no one has ever asked me. I kid you not, no one has ever asked me in an interview to say something about it or to even provide proof. The best it has done is to get me in front of a recruiter. So when I say don't focus on certifications, I'm not saying do not write certification. All I'm trying to say is know what your priorities are. Okay. By the way, so that's just by the way. So I would do all of that and trying to learn. Okay. Learning was my focus all along. But it got to a point I couldn't even keep up with that. I would leave home very late, go home and all that. I couldn't keep up with that. So what I would do is any little time I have, okay, whether I'm going back home and I will be on the train for 1 hour, right? On my phone, I'll be watching videos, right? There's a guy called Corey Schauffer, I think is his name, Corey. If you have learned Python or Linux, you must have come across his YouTube channel, right? So kudos to him because I'm still a big fan, by the way. I learned a lot, watching those videos, and I would use my phone on the train to watch. So even though I'm not able to practice, let me tell you what that was doing. Sometimes just watching videos with intention to just watch it helps your subconsciousness. It just helps you, like to just maintain, just stay there. Okay. And that's what that was doing to me. It was just helping me maintain. So the day I'm ready and have the time to practice and do something, it's not completely gone. I'm not going to need time to reset. you know, it will still be there. So there is a subconsciousness that we have. If you understand how the mind works, it works in stages. When you learn something today, it doesn't stay in your permanent consciousness, right? It stays in some subconsciousness that if you don't nurture it, it goes away. It's a temporary storage. It is what you do repeatedly that eventually goes into your permanent storage, your hard disk. Right? So that's my strategy, and it's worked for me, and it's still working for me because I'm still learning. I still learn all the time, all the time. I'm picking up something new. When AI came up and open AI and all those things started, I picked it up. Started learning. What's all this about? What's all this prompt? What's all these LLMs about? You just have to stay up to date about things. But take it one step at a time. Excuse me, take it one step at a time. Okay, if you're focusing on shell scripting right now, within shell scripting there's a lot to learn. Just pick them. You're learning functions right now. Learn it. Okay, practice it. Understand the reasoning behind functions. Understand how to call functions, how to put parameters. And then you move on to something else. You're learning about variables. You're learning about how to debug in functions, how to set certain things at the top to help you debug your scripts, you know. So anyway, so that's just by the way. I hope that helps. Okay, so Solomon says, I personally buy the idea of leaving Kubernetes the hard way in the curriculum to help in the hands-on on the Kubernetes architecture setup. So yeah, thanks for that feedback, Solomon. We're probably just gonna leave it there, and if you want to, you know, play with it, it will be there for you. Okay, we've got Chukudu. Chukudi says, I hold a computer science degree and I'm currently pursuing a master's in information technology. I've been working as a program analyst with the for over 6 years. I'm eager to specialize in DevOps. That's a great ambition to have, Chukudi. So if you need help, we can help you with that. So please reach out, and by all means, whatever we can do, we can help you get started. All right, so Blessing is on S3 versioning. Well done to you, Blessing. So next 2 weeks, I want to see where you are. Okay, so you're learning about S3, and I think that's amazing. Okay, so John spent the last 2 weeks working on automation using Terraform. He's experienced some major bugs while working with Ansible component. I've learned how to fix after some days of frustration. Yeah, that's the recipe. It's part of the recipe to acquiring this skill. You spend days debugging. Eventually, you learn it. You move on to the next thing. I don't know if this happens to you. I'm sure it does because it happens to me a lot. Sometimes you're trying to debug something and then it works. And then you're like, yeah, I'm happy. This is working now. And it feels like no problem is never gonna happen again. Trust me. Another one is waiting for you in the next 1 hour. You're trying to do something and then another thing comes, and it's the fun that comes with it. But I think the fulfillment I have is over time when you begin to acquire skills and you become confident with things that you can help solve problems. You're working in an organization, there are problem statements, and you can contribute, you can help navigate things. I think that's where the majority of the fulfillment comes. Okay, so and that will come by spending your time now. Okay, so I'm going to speak like a motivational speaker right now. So what you want to become in 2 years, you have to start today. You don't wait until 2 years time before you start doing it. Okay, and I say this story a lot about myself. It's exactly what happened to me. So when I came to the UK, the first year, well, I used to come to the UK before. I would come, go. I was doing that for about 3 years. I used to be a fashion designer, and I had customers in the UK. I would come, meet up with them, go back, take measurements, do all that. So it was good. I was a bachelor, and things were like, good for me as young bachelor guy. But anyway, so um, when it was time for me to to launch my tech career. What happened was I fell ill in the UK and I had to go through a surgery, you know, and then my visa expired. I couldn't go back to Nigeria, so I had to stay in the UK to fix my immigration status before going back. And so during that time when I left the hospital and business wasn't going as planned before, my factory was just getting messed up. The quality of the products were not there anymore. I didn't have any money. Things were just going bad for me at the time. It was what then I thought, okay, what am I going to do? How do I move away from this? Started doing research, started speaking to people. A lot of people around me were into business analysis, project management. Part of my research, I noticed there were a lot of people going in that direction, even in software testing. But I wanted something that would make me stand out, you know, and I decided I was going to go into tech. At first, I thought I was going to go into project management. I started reading and studying for Prince 2 and all that. But then I realized, because at first I thought project management was managing construction. If you come from Africa, I'm sure that's probably the same thing that will come to your mind when you hear project management. I thought it was construction, So when I started learning about it, I realized it's IT projects. So I'm like, okay, I know nothing about IT. How am I supposed to manage IT project when I know nothing about it? So what made sense to me was to go learn the IT and then maybe come back to manage IT projects. So I started digging a hole and I just couldn't get out of it again. So I started learning SQL, I started learning HTML, all sort of things. And then I just kept digging and digging and, I found myself here, But the point I'm trying to make is during that time when I was out of visa and I was trying to solidify myself, right? I was thinking what I would do when the visa becomes available. So I didn't wait until my visa became available before I started planning my future, right? And I think that's the reasoning we should always have. So if you know you want to do something, you know exactly what you want to do. Yes, you've decided you want to do tech, but where in tech do you want to focus on? Do you want to do software development? You want to go into machine learning? You want to focus on cloud, DevOps, whatever it is you want to do, you know, make that decision, do your research, know exactly what you need to do to get there, and just start. Start your journey. And with a platform like this, joining the Fireside Connect every time to see how people are making progress and reporting your progress as well gives you the consciousness that every 2 weeks, man, I have to make progress. I have to move. I have to move, like move. You have to move. Just keep moving, you know and yeah, I know it can be very overwhelming. Honestly, I'm not disputing that it can be very overwhelming, but it has to be done, right? And you have to take it a step at a time. you know you know what you need to learn. There is support around you. Please get support. Okay, on our Slack channel you can always use the support there to reach out to people, send messages. We have blocker sessions. You can book one-to-one session, although that's a paid feature, but the support is there. So make sure that you're making progress. That's the point I'm trying to make. All right. So Oluwafemi says, thank you for having this conversation. I do not know how to say this, but it would be nice for you to work on your customer service team. I registered for the DevOps Masterclass. I have some concerns about the way I was treated. It would be nice if you could resolve the issue. Thank you. Thank you very much, Oluwafemi. And this is part of the reasons why this was established, so that we can get all this feedback as well as trying to help you, and we can work on it. And one thing I do say is, if you're on our Slack channel, please find me. I'm always on Slack. So find me if you have trouble, concerns, or anything. Just drop me a message and I will do the best that I can to solve it. But I do apologize for the way you were treated, and I'm gonna look into that. Also, you can drop an email. Okay, so my email, I'm happy to drop my email as well. Excuse me. So you can send me an email, Dari@dari.io. Okay. You can also send an email, if you need anything at all, right? If there's anything at all you have concerns of, please reach out and we'll be able to sort that out for you as quickly as possible. Okay. And again, you know, we're scaling so fast, we're growing so fast, we're adding a lot of value. We know this sort of things can happen, and sometimes we can get overwhelmed ourselves, but we still try to do what we can to help you. So please do not get frustrated. If you are, reach out and let someone else deal with your situation. All right. All right. So Charles is a newbie transitioning into tech, and DevOps is hard enough for busy professionals. I know that. Can you please extend the access period for the learning platform to 6 months after each cohort? I'm currently running the TechOps Foundation, and I'm aware that access after the program is only for 2 months. Many thanks. Actually, so what we've decided to do now is, and by the way, I understand that for busy professionals it can be hard, to keep up and juggle the whole thing together. But it is a very, very expensive thing to run a platform like this, especially when we've bootstrapped. Like we've literally bootstrapped, no investment from outside, even though we have now recently opened our doors for investment. But we've all bootstrapped and trying to run everything at the barest cost possible. So it does cost us a lot to run, the customer service, to run the platform, to do, all the things that we're doing. And that's why it's hard for us to say we're going to just make it accessible, for 6 months. Things are very expensive, as you know. But what we've done recently is to extend it for an extra 2 months, also to make it possible for you to resubscribe at 50% discount. So if that's something that you would like to explore, please reach out as well, and we'll do the best that we can to help you to make sure you still have continued access. So we'll give you free access for 2 months extra, but if you want to have continued access, then we will give it to you at a 50% discount. Okay. So Ibrahim is saying, why can't you have access to the site after the program? Well, I mean, it's just like many other platforms out there. Learning and making a product like this is very expensive. It's expensive to run, infrastructure. So making it accessible, okay, it's very hard for us because regardless, we're still paying for our cloud infrastructure, we're still paying for so many things, paying salaries, we're doing all sort of things. So it does cost money to run. And if you want to continue having a service that is amazing like this to help people accelerate their career, it only makes sense to just make sure that to keep the engine moving, it has to be reasonable in terms of finances to make sure that that's still possible. So sorry, we cannot make it a lifetime access. I wish we could, but unfortunately, you can't. It's just like going to Pluralsight or any of our competitors doing similar thing. You're not going to get lifetime access. And you may be thinking, well, you can buy a Udemy course, and once you buy that, it's forever. The business model is not the same thing. You can buy, relatively cheap courses on Udemy, but it's not the same service that we're offering. Okay, so that's that. I hope that answers that. So yes, please, if access can be extended without software development. Okay, I think I've answered that. So Tokchuku says accountability partner. Well, I think that will really help me learn better. I have been using AI, but truth be told, you need someone to speak. Yeah, you do need someone to speak to. So please, if you do need an accountability partner, definitely reach out and we will be happy to help you with that. So sometimes we actually pair people up, so we would know where you are in your journey. So if you're in foundation and you're still working on maybe S3 or whatever, we'll find someone within that same space. And if they're happy to pair with you, we can connect with you. We'll consider your time zone as well to find someone within your time zone and get you guys connected. Okay. And by the way, you can also drop a message on the Facebook group or the Slack community and just say you're looking for an accountability partner. This is your time zone. This is your level at the moment. And, someone interested can just reach out to you. All right. Please, who is yet to start projects, we can connect and form accountability group. Yes. So you see, someone has already raised that, and that's good to know. Okay. Victor says I can help someone with some projects in the foundation class. We can connect. That's good. I can see you guys are already doing that. Okay, so I'm just going to skip all that. Okay. Ibrahim says he's willing to progress. That's good. So, did you say you're having challenges refactoring your code? Okay. Well, I mean, it depends on what code you're talking about, but I think I mentioned this before, doing it in bits and pieces that can help as well. Someone wants to join the Slack channel. Well, so the Slack channel is actually a closed group for only the subscribers. But what you can do is you can join the Facebook group, so that's open. Okay, so if you want to join this Facebook group, you can join that. The Slack channel is only for the I community. Okay, Olabi, understand that working with many people, especially newcomers breaking into the IT field, can be challenging. Your platform, which is primarily self-paced, is greatly enhanced by an active Slack environment where learners collaborate, share ideas, and ask any questions, detailed walkthroughs. I wonder if there could be a system in place to monitor and track students' progress as they advance on their journey to becoming professionals. So we actually do have a platform. So if you sign up on our platform, it's not just about self-pays and Slack. We do have a web portal where your progress is tracked. So how many projects you complete, how many courses you do, how you're progressing generally, and we're constantly updating that as well. We have a lot of backlog full of features that we're about to roll out and we'll constantly be rolling out as well as we go. So it's a talent infrastructure that we're building, and like I said before, we're on a mission to become the number one tech accelerator in the world. And that's not just a wishful saying. It's because in the last 3 years we know exactly how to help people launch their career. We have done that over and over again. Okay, so we know exactly what to help you do and engage you. And this Fireside Connect is part of the things that we're putting into it to make sure that that goal is achieved. There's only one goal, which is to help you accelerate and launch your career. So to launch that goal, we are literally going to be on top of you to make sure that even though you're working and all that, we're helping you navigate this as you go. And it's not just self-paced. So we have a boot camp that runs for 12 months, right? So with the boot camp, that's where you join live classes with instructors, watch the self-paced materials, do the project, and the first 6 months is focused on that. The last 6 months is helping you with your portfolio, your CV, helping you, connecting you with employers, everything that is about preparing you to land in that job is what the last 6 months is based on. And during that time, you can choose to join the externship program as well to then begin to work. It's like working in an organization. That's what the externship program is about. It's like working with a company, working with other engineers, collaboratively working on Git and all the different tools, working with Jira, Confluence, and having all that real world experience. Okay. So if you already have some skills already and that's what you want, you can also reach out and then we can get you on that subscription. Okay, so Chinasa says it's overwhelming trying to combine the classes with work. Since I registered with the DevOps Foundation, I always feel like something is after me every minute of the day. So don't feel like something is after you. Oh my God, I can understand that feeling. When you have a sense of, oh my God, I need to complete it. I need to do this. I need to do that. Um, do not feel overwhelmed. Okay, do what you can, progress as much as you can. Okay, and we will still try to help you one way or the other, right? So if you finish your foundation and you spend another 2 months and you still haven't finished, it could be an indication of a lot of things, right? It could be that you're not even spending enough time uh, learning, because if you spend 2 days learning and you spend 3 days not learning, it's not going to work, right? No matter how little, you want to make sure that every single day you pick it up and you do something, even if it's 1 hour. Okay, even if it's you know laying in bed, you're about to sleep and you just want to refresh on some of the things. You don't have to always be on the laptop coding. You can pick your phone, just watch a video. It could be the same video you've watched again, and that's another thing I used to do. I watch the same videos over and over again sometimes, especially if I don't understand something. Watch it again, because the second, third time you watch it, sometimes something will just click, and that might just be it, and then you can move on to something else. So yeah, Presti, thanks for the response. We all feel that way. Just hang in. Honestly, you're not alone. Okay, you're not alone. I always remember this. There was a time I was stuck on something, and you know I was trying to implement an infrastructure where I build a domain controller and then join computers to it, and I was trying to do that in a cloud environment, um, and I wanted to experience what it means building something like that and connecting it from an on-premise, you know, because I like to come up with use cases myself, and I came up with that use case, and I was trying to do that, you know, and for weeks. In fact, I think I had done it the first time. Okay, it worked. And then I tried to do it again. For some reason, I didn't, because I used to have this notepad. In fact, one day I'm going to zip my files, notepads back in the days. I'm going to zip it and I'll just share it on our Slack channel. You can unzip it and see the things that I used to do then. So for some reason, this particular configuration, I didn't write the documentation properly. Okay, and you can see where the whole idea of you working and documenting your work comes from. It's actually coming from how I used to do it. I literally document everything I do, because, and the truth is, I used to document it then with the mindset that I might need it and I might come back to it. Honestly, I can tell you, I went back to probably 5% of all the things I've documented. Now, that could be the way I learn. It might not be the same for everyone, but honestly, it is the act of writing it down that helps me to retain some of those knowledge, right? It is the actual act of putting it down, documenting something. But anyway, so I didn't document the steps properly, and then I wanted to do it again. Okay, and this time around, I literally got stuck for weeks. It would just not join the domain. Like, that thing messed me up. And I was in the UK. There was no one around me doing IT. Literally, no one, zero. Nobody around me does IT. Nobody. So I would, and because I studied marketing from Lagos State Polytechnic. So for those who are last pushers here, kudos to you guys. But anyway, everyone around me was doing something else. So my wife was getting frustrated herself because I was frustrated in the house, and she started calling her friends that things might be doing IT, and most of them were probably doing graphics and you know, things that's not related to this, and But at the end of the day, I think I got it working, and oh my God, you don't want to know. It was one of the best moments in my life, you know, that it worked. And that's just it. It's the same ingredient. And trust me, that knowledge is the experience that your employer is going to be paying for. Now, if you ask me, have I ever implemented domain controller and joining into domain and doing things like that ever since I've been working in the real world? I haven't. I've never had any reason to do that. But guess what? I work in environments where computers are connected. So I understand what's going on behind the scene. And when I'm trying to connect or something is wrong or I want to query the directory service, I understand what I need to do. And if I get an error, I understand what's going on just because of some of the things I've done. So do not feel overwhelmed. Honestly, you're doing yourself a great service by going through the pain of learning this. And you see, um, I'm someone that has skill in a number of things, So some people who know me from way back, I don't know how many people are on the call that probably know me, but I play the keyboard, I play bass guitar, I barb. I literally learned how to barb because when I finished my secondary school, I had F9 parallel. My dad thought this one you don't know anything. It's like you're going to learn how to cut hair. So he took me to a barbing salon. I spent 6 months, learning how to cut, you know. So I'm someone that knows how to do a lot of things, but you see, it is part of the process. You understand? Everything you do, right? You learn it, it adds value to you one way or the other. So do not feel overwhelmed. We're all in this, and it feels good when you know how to do things at the end of the day. And one of the things that in Nigeria, I don't know how many non-Nigerians are here, but in Nigeria we call it Oga. So one of the things my Oga told me back then when I was learning it, he said something. He said, "Look, your dad has brought you to this shop to learn this thing. Yeah. The moment you learn it and you know it, it sticks with you forever. No one is gonna take it from you wherever you go. Okay. Now I'm telling you a real life story now. We used to live in Ikotun. So if you know where Ikotun is in Nigeria, that's where I used to live there. And he said to me, wherever you go in the world, if you like, go to US, America, wherever you go, it's going to go with you. And you don't know what opportunities abound. Guess what? That was when I left secondary school in, I think, around 1999. Okay, was when I finished my secondary school that my dad took me, to do that. And I spent 6 months learning how to barb. And for many years, I never worked with it. Literally, I never had the reason to go into a shop to cut for anyone. Guess where it became useful? When I came to the UK and I didn't have anything to do, that was the first thing I did to make money. That was literally what I was doing. I was cutting hair for people, taking, £10 just to survive, So why am I saying this story is whatever you're going through, learning right now, it may feel overwhelming and whatever, is going to stick with you. You own it. You own it. It's yours forever. So why not just go through it? And wherever you go, you speak about it, you know it, you have the skills, it's gonna stay with you. So nothing comes easy at the end of the day in this life, right? All right. So anyway, so that's just by the way. All right. So Priscilla, thanks. Priscilla has shared the link to join our Facebook community. We're trying to build our Facebook community as well. So please join that. Okay. We'll spend 1 hour 25 minutes. I'll see if I can still go through all of these, but if you're still enjoying this, you can stay on and let's just carry on. All right. So Owolabi says Corey Shafa. Yeah, I did mention Corey the other time. Command line, and it's okay to. Is that refer? I couldn't even see that. Let me enlarge this. Maybe that's why. Okay, so Daniel says, I have 2 projects on GitHub when I'm done with that IO program. How much projects do I need to have on GitHub to make it attractive to recruiters? So to be honest, I don't think it's about the number of projects you have on GitHub. It's not. It's about how active you are on GitHub. That might interest um, some recruiters. So 2 things: how active you are. Okay, so you go into your profile, you see how many commits. It shows this green thing. So that's one thing that's doing the project-based learning and constantly committing and pushing your code can give you. Once you finish, you can join the extension program where you get to do a lot more of that, and that boosts your profile. I don't know what to call it, but boost your profile somehow. But what's also important is the interest that you have on GitHub. Other projects that you fork into your space to maybe work on, to contribute as open source, or to just have as part of your tool belt. It kind of just gives a recruiter an idea of where your interests lie. And if it's something that an organization interests lie as well, there's some kind of, shall I say, alignment, then it's a signal that there might be interest. Okay. So, for example, there was a company I interviewed with one time, even though I didn't eventually work with them. But one thing that caught their interest in my profile at the time was because they are a crypto based company. And at the time, I was trying to learn about crypto, the contracts and the decentralization and how things work in the crypto space. And I had to fork some projects to try them out and just play with it, and that was what caught their interest, so it might just be that. So just to answer that, uh, it might be that. So someone is asking for my email is dare@darey.io. So darey@darey.io. So the first part of the diary doesn't have a Y. So dare@darey.io. So please reach out. I'm happy to connect with people all the time. Okay, so Daniel says, I've heard a lot about Kubernetes. At what point in the program am I learning that I'm in March call? So the way we did the Kubernetes is in the foundation, we expose you to it, but from a foundation beginner perspective. In the advanced, then we go into advanced with it, with you. And then there are a few projects in there that helps you really build and solidify your skill around Kubernetes. You get to work with um, deploying applications, working with ingress controllers, working with Helm configuration management, understanding how the different use cases of deploying applications and working with stateful applications and stateless applications, getting to understand things like that, and even GitOps as well, how release it into Kubernetes work from a GitOps perspective, and that's fine. But what you could also do is from there join the extension program where you can then build up more skills, working on real projects across multiple teams. Yeah, so that's what you could do. Okay, Dokas, welcome to the industry. Dokas says I'm a newbie, so welcome, welcome, welcome. So shout out to you. It's always good to start, right? It's always good to start. Okay, when I started, right, the company that I learned IT from, okay, they no longer exist in the UK. They're called Computich. So if anyone has ever come across them before, that was the company that I subscribed to when I started learning. So I was checking them out recently to even try to see what's going on with the company. I probably just reach out to say, hey guys, you did something amazing to me, but unfortunately I think they folded up, so they no longer train. But yeah, there's always a starting point. I had my starting point, and they never had any live class or anything, so they just give you materials, right? They had an amazing platform as well. So, and also you can see a lot of things that I is based on my personal experience, So the platform is also structured in a way that um, that reflects the things that I enjoyed when I started, So that platform, they also had, project, but the project they have is not like what we have now, right? It was more theoretical, like learning things. Unlike the way we write our projects now, we put them in perspective of a real world scenario, but they will teach you things like, okay, what is Kubernetes? This is the architecture, and then you learn like that, But the point I'm trying to make is there's always a starting point, okay? And you know, those years I was paying subscription to that company. I was paying about £200 or £230 a month. Even though I didn't have the money, my wife was like, "Are you crazy? Where are you gonna see the money to pay for this?" But somehow, and it was a contract for 1 year, so I never regretted that. Somehow, I found the money to pay for it. So yeah. So Dockers, welcome to the world of IT. Um, yeah, if you need help, you reach out. We'll be able to help you. Okay, cool. So Daniel says it's wise to have all my projects on GitHub in one repository. Consider the best way to make it look good for recruiters. Okay, so still back on to that GitHub thing. Well, so whether to have it on one repository or have multiple projects, I think you should have different projects for different things. Just keep them separate. If you're working on Terraform and you're working on a specific use case, have a repository, do that, put all your code, your documentation, have a nice README, understand how Markdown formats work, and, in your Markdown, your README, put it nicely. If you need to put table, headlines, just make sure you have something nice going on. And that's what I would do rather than have just one repo and just have everything in one repo. Okay. Okay. So we have Aflabi. What's the status of your plan as per data science and data analysis? Okay. So what we have at the moment, we have training for data analysis, on Data.io. But what we have on the extension program is we have a data science / data analysis extension program where if you already have the skill, or maybe you finish from our foundation program, you can join that to work in a real world setting, okay, and enjoy all that. Okay, so I hope we're still live. I'm not sure if this thing is going to time me out, but please let me know if you can still hear me. Okay, looks like everything is still live. Okay. So Lukman is asking, how can I join the next cohort? You can send an email, you can reach out, just send a DM in Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you're connecting from, or just send an email to Daria@Daria.io, and I'll put you in touch with the enrollment advisors, and they'll just help you out. Okay. Chinoso says, Lawa, you're not alone. Okay. So respond to that. Okay. OZ, really thank you for Daria. I completed it a few years ago, and I can honestly say it's completely changed my life. It's completely life changing. Put all your energy in, and it will pay off. I think I know this OC. So this is OC. if I'm correct, this is probably Charles's friend and Esther's friend. So thanks, OC, for putting that comment in there. I truly appreciate it. I remember when OC joined with Charles, they were already certified. They had the certifications, amazing guys, smart guys. What I love about those guys is they know what they're looking for, they know what they wanted, and they just didn't have the platform that will help them to read it. But before they came to Data, they were already on the move, right? But they would go for interviews, and it wasn't just panning out. But what, and I always want the kind of students like that on our platform. You know why? Because they're serious and they will do the projects, and once they have the knowledge, they would be able to then use it to go for interviews and get the job. And that was exactly what happened. In a short amount of time, they finished the project, bang, 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 bang. Even with Esther, was actually a lawyer. So she was a lawyer. She joined them as well, you know, and now they're all doing amazing. So well done to you guys. I'm really, really proud of you guys, man. Okay, so Banjo, I'm a GIS analyst and work on an array of projects at the office, but I want to delve into cloud. I'm currently on AWS on the foundation cohort, but time has been my major challenge. What advice do you have to say in tune? So, Banjo, to be honest, what I would say, okay, it's hard to say, okay, but I'm gonna say it still. And some people have done it. Okay, as a matter of fact, we have someone that actually did a testimonial video. If you care to see it, I can share with you. You can send an email to me, I can share with you. But someone had done something crazy. I'm not asking you to do it, but someone did something crazy, and I think it's worth it if you can afford to do it. So you can speak to your organization if they can give you a holiday, and you're going to make sure that you make use of it. You know, give yourself, and again, if you have enough savings to accommodate you during that period, and then you go away and focus, do what you have to do, build the skill, and literally go and start looking for work. That's one option. Now, this lady I'm trying to refer to now, she actually quit her job. Okay, she literally quit her job and focused on this for 6 months. After 6 months, um, she got a job with a company in Portugal. I think she's even moved to Portugal now. You know, so from Nigeria, and that was crazy. Like when I was having a conversation with her, I was like, "You're crazy, man." But it was easy for her to do because her friend got a job with some company abroad and told her that this is where she went to. And, she just said, "You know what? You've done it. I'm going to do it." How much is this company paying me anyway? So she quit the job, and then she had all the time in the world to focus on this. And this is someone that has family as well. She I think she had a baby, or something like that. So people do crazy things. You'll be shocked, right? But do not do it. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just sharing stories of what's happening. And to be honest with you, the best people that have really done this, and it worked for them in a short amount of time, are people that had the time. Let's face it. Okay, if you have time if you can carve out time somehow, honestly, it works because the job is there. Companies are looking for talent. They need people. They just need people that can do it. That's it. Honestly, they just need people that can do it. So if you're able to build your skill to a confident level that you can actually do it, there's no harm in trying to just focus and get it done. You know, even though I didn't launch my career as a DevOps cloud engineer at first, I launched my first job was as a SQL Server DBA. I also had all the time in the world. I wasn't working. I didn't have a visa, so I couldn't work anywhere. And by the way, my barbering days, I used to do the barbering on site, but it got to a point I stopped going to the barber shop. Like I stopped. So there was no money coming in, but thankfully I had a wife that was working and she was paying all the bills. She was doing all of that. You know, so um, so sometimes you just have to sacrifice and do it. So that's what I would say. But if you cannot, and I completely understand, because if you can't afford to do that, you have family, you have bills, you have a lot of things that depends on you. It can be hard. The only thing I would say is just give yourself time. Okay, do not put yourself under unnecessary pressure. Just give yourself time. That's all. Right. So if you were to launch it in 3 months, just give yourself I don't know, 18 months, depending on how much time, you know, you will still get there. It might take you longer time, but you'll get there. Right. So you just go in bits, and then, one day, 2 days, 3 days, before you know it, you're making progress. So that's what I would say. That's my advice. All right. So Bathran says, I'm at the March cohort on Dada, entirely fresh to tech and a very busy professional living in England. I am seeking to have an accountability partner. So please, you're already on our platform, so you can reach out to me as well, or any of the tech support, to get an accountability partner, or just post it like this. I'm sure you get someone. Okay. Some situations. Actually, let's connect on Slack. Okay, good. Someone is trying to connect to you with you. All right. So Charles, nice. I can see Charles is adding up with Bath and Bio. That's great. Okay. So Millicent says, "Hi, fellow future DevOps engineers. I'm on my first DevOps project. I need accountability." Okay, great. So please, you guys should connect together and be accountability partners. It's getting a little bit dark here. Let me put on the lights. Wait 1 second. Okay. All right. I hope you can still see me, and I hope we're still live. All right. So, Chisom newbie has background in economics. What career path in tech would you advise? So, for someone with a background in economics, naturally, I think data related careers just work out for you guys, because as an economist, what do? You analyze the economy, you analyze data, you do predictions, you do things like that. So, but again, I may be wrong. You might, because I don't know what your location is, but in my country, in Nigeria, sometimes they give us courses that we didn't want, right? Because it's hard to get into universities, they just give you something and then you do it. So sometimes you have to discover what you truly want. So you might want to explore things. Okay, so we have data, cybersecurity, cloud. So you might want to do some research, try to learn about what these areas are about, and then see if it resonates with your interest. Okay, and then you can try to make a decision. But naturally, if you truly someone with economics skills, then I think data might work for you. Okay, so like that, if there is opportunity for mentorship to build CV for experience. So if you're looking to build CV experience, so you can join the externship program. The externship program gives you, your CV. You could get reference on all the projects that you work on and work with real engineers. So that's what I think is best for you. Uh, Please, internship opportunities, even if it's unpaid, we're willing. So yeah, the externship program is a paid. You pay for it. It's £100 subscription a month. Okay, but it's a massive accelerator, because it's going to help you understand exactly what's going on in the real world. You pick tickets in Jira, right? And then you work, and then you have a tech lead, you have access to Scrum Masters, and things are working on fine. And that is a massive accelerator that will help you, like, launch your career. You go into interviews with a lot of confidence, and for those who's done it, they can tell you that this is gonna really help change you, accelerate you really fast. Okay, so we've come to almost the end of the questions. So all of these many tools like Kubernetes, Jenkins, Ansible, Terraform, and the likes, which one is most important and completely mandatory to learn about? Daniel is asking. I guess this is the part where you need to understand what DevOps is. So DevOps is not about all those tools. You see those tools that you mentioned, they're just there to help us achieve what DevOps is all about. DevOps is just about bringing development teams and operation teams together to collaborate to do what? To release software very fast in a scalable, secure, and available manner. That's basically in a nutshell what DevOps is all about. So anything that will help you take a software and release it to the customers in a fast manner, that's what DevOps does. But you see, those tools help us to get there, because to be able to get a software in the hands of customers, it needs to run on servers, right? And if cloud was not there, back in the days, there would be physical servers where, you know, data center, a room like this might be a data center where there'll be servers and switches and racks where they connect everything together. And when it's time to upgrade these servers, we have to order them. It takes a while. It might be coming from IBM, network switches. And in some cases, we have a data center here. We need to have a backup data center somewhere else, so that if this data center goes down, the other one is available. All those things. To do that, then it becomes very hard to scale. So if you need to hire new servers to scale the need, Christmas is coming, and there's going to be huge demand for an e-commerce website. That means 6 months before Christmas, they need to plan and buy the servers and do all of that. So that is not DevOps, right? That's not going to help us to get our products in the hand of the customers quickly. So comes the cloud. So cloud allows us to get new servers with a click of a button. So that cloud becomes a tool that helps us to achieve what DevOps is set out to achieve. But with the cloud comes its own challenges, which is you have to go into the cloud to click to get the server up and running. And you do a lot of configurations to make that happen, right? If you don't have a way to repeatedly do it in a consistent manner, you find out that we want to create a new server, then it's either we have a run book somewhere that we have to go through all the list of things we need to do to replicate the same setup that we had before. But there's chances that the error, we might miss things out, and we'll run into problems that will not help us get our products in the hands of our customer quickly. So then comes Terraform. So Terraform can help us to automate the build of our infrastructure to ensure that the infrastructure that our software is going to live in can be made available on demand. So you can see how these tools become useful towards achieving what we want to achieve. And because of that, companies don't care about what tool that you're using. It just happened that some tools have become so popular that most organizations use them. So for that reason, focus on the tools that you see the most on job descriptions. So if you're looking for work as a DevOps engineer, just go and look for DevOps engineer roles, search on Google, go through them and take an account of the tools that you see the most. Those are the ones you need to start focusing your attention on. Because what Terraform does, there are many other tools that does the same. There's Pulumi, there is CloudFormation, there's ARM templates. There are many tools, even Ansible can do it. But then again, which one is companies using the most to achieve that use case? The answer is Terraform. So why would you learn all the other ones and leave Terraform? So your focus should be on Terraform. So you learn Terraform, you have some confidence on that, then you think of other things that companies, need or that DevOps need to get software in the hands of users. So there's a concept around DevOps called CI/CD, which is continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment. And there are tools that make that possible as well. Some years ago, it used to be Jenkins, right? So Jenkins is like that thing that everyone has to learn. Now, gradually, attention is shifting away from Jenkins to GitHub Actions, GitLab CI. And even though attention is shifting, there is still a huge market for Jenkins. So my recommendation is still learn Jenkins and learn all these other ones that's coming up. And the truth is, most of these tools, the learning curve are transferable. It's like you learn AWS, you can easily transfer the skills to Azure. You can easily transfer the skills to GCP. So even though you have AWS skills, you find a job, they're looking for someone with Azure skills. It's just a matter of doing a quick crash course on YouTube and whatnot. And you can just translate most of the terminologies on AWS to Azure and you'll be fine. So that's the way I think about this, generally. And yeah, so focus on the tools that make more sense from a demand perspective. Okay. All right. So Bookie says on my profile, I saw current plan DevOps Foundation class expires on May 31st. Does that mean I won't have access to the class after May? I don't think I will be finished with the classes by then. It has not been easy combining this with work. Yeah, I understand, Bookie, and we're going to be giving you 2 months extra. I think it's even 3 months. I'll check with the support team. In my head, I think it's actually 3 months. So if you've heard 2 months, I think it's 2 months, but I will confirm. And we want to try our best, honestly, to make sure we help you guys. All right. Samuel says loud and clear. I'm happy to hear that. Faith says, do you have any plan to add courses like Scrum Master? Actually, we do. Okay, we do have plans to add Scrum Master. So if there's anyone interested in Scrum Master, because we actually need to do that because of the externship program, so that we can have Scrum Masters that will now begin to gain experience with those engineers as well as they're doing the project. So if you're interested in Scrum Master, please reach out, send an email to me, and I'll make sure I point you in the right direction. Okay. Uh, okay, Afolabi is asking that he already paid £100 in Feb, but he hasn't had the time to join the class. Of course. So once you're ready to join, reach out, okay, and then we'll get you started on the cohort available at the time, okay? So just reach out and then we'll help you out. I'm not done with my project. I am on project 13. Can I also join the extension? So I believe project 13, you've done a lot of things on Linux. You've done a lot of things on Ansible. Yes, you can join the externship, provided you're going to be doing the extension and still be doing those projects, right? So if you have the time to do that, then you can do that, because with the extension, the most important thing is Linux, AWS, and Git. Even if you're not solid in Docker and Kubernetes, you can still join the extension because it's like learning on the job. Okay, that's the whole idea around that. So you can join, but just know that, if you have the time, it's going to be a bit demanding. Okay, so can someone join the extension program without completing the advanced course? Yes, you can. I think I just addressed that now. A newbie, I'm a mechanical engineer. I've studied AWS Practitioner Foundation course, but not confident enough to write the certification. What part is best for me? What I will say to you, forget about certification right now. Honestly, forget about certification right now. You can practice it, just to know it. Go get started implementing project. Learn the real thing. Okay. When you're ready to start looking for work, then go and write certification. Yeah. Honestly, I have a younger brother who he's now in the UK and he learns from Dio as well. And he's started working for an organization in London, and he literally just passed his certification, his first ever certification. That's my younger brother. So this is not like I'm trying to, some of you may even know him, right? So he literally just passed his first ever certification, AWS Solutions Architect, I think last week or so. The company he's working for then forced him to do it. Well, not forced, but encouraged him to do it because it's a consultant company, and consultant companies need that to get more contracts from companies they're working with. So at that point, I mean, it's a breeze to pass certifications. Honestly, it's a breeze. But you're still struggling to learn the concept and you don't understand how it works. Like, apply the theory to practical. You're tasking your brain to learn and pass certifications. And the thing is, trying to pass certification, you know, is a bit dicey now because even companies understand that you can find people to write certifications for you. Honestly, some of you may have experienced it. You find some guy from Pakistan, India, and some other locations around the world, especially from those areas, asking you about if you want to write certification, and they'll literally write it for you. And companies know these things happen. So it's affecting the quality of these certifications. And people that have bunch of certifications. So do not feel impressed when someone says, hey, I passed certification, and I'm posting on LinkedIn. Honestly, for me, anyone can pass certification, honestly. And if you come from a country like Nigeria, where I come from, right, there's something we call like Beru Beso. If you've been to school where you just read to pass exam, we're very good at that. We can Beru and Beso and, make pass exams and just go through that, you know. But when you get to the job, can you do it? You're faced with the first ticket and it has a description, it has an acceptance criteria, and you don't even know where to start. You don't want to be in that shoe. Honestly, someone has lost her job because of that. Somehow she spoke her way. Well, she didn't learn from the other eye, but she came after she lost the job, right? She literally spoke her way through the interview and got a job. 1 week, the first ticket, she had no idea what questions to ask, where to go, because these things are very important. When you start working, you find yourself in a situation where you're not sure whether the question you're going to ask is a foolish question or is an ideal question to ask. You don't know how to interact with people. You're scared, and that's not nice. You want to be prepared. You want to hit the ground running the first time. We've spent almost 2 hours, guys. So I'm going to be ending the call soon. But the bottom line I'm trying to make here is, guys, every 2 weeks, we're going to be meeting together like this. And we're going to be looking at the challenges you're facing. We'll talk about, all these things and make sure that you get that experience out of the way. So if you want to join the externship program, send me an email, Dare@Dare.io. That's Dare@Darey.io. Or you join the Facebook group and just put your interest in there. It's £100 a month subscription, and that's going to give you access to all these things I'm talking about. All right, so let me see if I could just go through the last few questions here. Someone is asking, what's the difference between DevOps and Scrum? Well, I've explained the DevOps part of things. Scrum is like project management, even though they don't like to call themselves project managers, but it's basically a methodology in Agile that allows software to be released in incremental manner, and it's the best, in my opinion. Well, let me not say it's the best because, to be honest, each project is different, right? So Scrum is ideal for many projects, but there are many other methodologies as well in the Agile framework. So there's Kanban, I think there's Safe as well. But Scrum is most popular for startups, for companies that want to iterate and move and ship quickly. Okay, so please let's work on Project 13 together if you don't mind. So he's asking someone to work with him. I'm here. Where do I start? Samuel, just send an email, join the Facebook group, and we're going to help you get started. Okay, sorry I joined a bit late because of work. If you don't mind, could you explain what your extension program and advanced cohort is all about? So the extension program is for people who already have knowledge in Linux, Gates, and AWS. And we will put you in a team with engineers, other engineers, technical leads, scrum masters, and you're working together, have access to Jira board, and you're picking up tickets. You understand the ceremonies for Scrum, backlog grooming, sprint planning, sprint retrospective, daily stand-ups. You get to do exactly what we do in the real world, and you build that confidence before you start going for interviews. Okay? All right. So how many times do the extension members meet a week? Because I am pretty very busy, mate. Well, It's a very flexible thing. The first kickoff call is tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the extension. For those who have subscribed, we've got a lot of subscribers already. So on that call, everyone is going to agree as a team on when the timings are going to be. So we understand that a lot of people are working. So it's not the regular 9 to 5 where you have your stand up at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatnot. It could even be your stand up could even be at 9 p.m. at night, right? Your sprint retrospective could even be on Sunday, or your sprint planning could be on Saturday. So, so it's very flexible for people who are working. And then when you start picking up your ticket, you can pick your ticket and work on it in the night, in the middle of the day, weekend, whatever it is, so very flexible. Okay, the last but not the least comment. I'm glad I was able to go through everything. I was part of the May 2023 cohort. I couldn't finish with my cohort due to work pressure, but I'm back on the March 2024 cohort now. I realize our project in listing in the last cohort is different from the one listed now. Is there a way to access the live videos from my last cohort and my documentation too? I was already on project 6 before I left the last cohort. So I understand what you're talking about, because we changed the framework, the way we do the project and everything. So reach out. We can trace that for you and look into the database and see if we can get something up for you. But yeah, thanks for coming back, Olatunde, and thank you for joining this class, guys. I'm gonna see you again in the next 2 weeks. Please make sure you make progress in the next 2 weeks, and let's talk about those progress, and then we'll keep on stacking it. And maybe in the next 6 months, you watch this first video again and you'll be like, whoa, I've made a lot of progress. I can do this now, I can do that. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been an amazing time with you today, and I will see you in the next 2 weeks. Bye.